Hi, thank you for tuning in today. I'm happy to be back this week. I really enjoyed Keith's message last week. I thank him for filling in for me. It was just a little busy and a little hectic, so I decided to take the week off last week. But I am excited to share a message with you today. And I wanted to touch on a subject that I've been stewing over for a while now. And it's about our words and the weight and the impact that they carry. It's been on my mind because I've experienced the impact and the weight that other people's words have had on my life. And I've also experienced the weight and the impact that my words have had on other people's lives. And I just think it's so important to sit and talk on this subject, especially in the time of our lives that we're in, and social media, and just the way that kids and adults and the things that we've been through, how important it is to be reminded that our words matter and that they have an impact on people, and that we should talk more about kindness and the mindfulness of our words. God's given us instruction on how to communicate with others so that at the end of the day, we hear his voice through us and through others. And if we are outside of this instruction, God's voice can't be heard through us and from others. Our words are powerful. Our words can be encouraging, hopeful, kind, and uplifting, but they can also be hurtful, judgmental, and misleading. I want to cement this into your mind that we must be careful with our words. We must be speaking accurately and truthfully, but also in a loving manner. The average person speaks 7,000 words per day. And that's just speaking, like talking to someone or on the phone. 7,000 words per day. And then there's the words that we write. One poll said that Americans send and receive, on average, 94 text messages a day. Words are such a huge part of our life. And in the beginning, God spoke us into existence. He created us with language to be able to communicate with each other. He spoke to us through prophets by employing and empowering prophets through his word to be able to communicate with us. He's speaking to us still through others and also through his word. He wants us as believers to be able to speak. He did say that not all of us will be teachers, but as believers, accepting and being employed by the Great Commission to bring others to him, we will be communicating with others. So speaking and speaking to others is a big part of bringing others to him. James 3 through 6 says, "The tongue is a small part of the body, but it makes great boast. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue is also a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell." James didn't stutter or hold back in this book at all. He is very clear with his words. James, very educated, very knowledgeable on the subjects that he's talking about. While he's very clear, but I'm still, while reading his words, feeling God's love through them. It wasn't James belittling or tearing down the people, but being knowledgeable in God's wisdom to be helpful, to encourage people to think before they speak. What you do and you don't say are important proper communication is not only saying the right words at the right time, but it's also controlling your desire to say what you shouldn't. An untamed tongue sets fire to the whole body. For example, gossiping, bragging, putting others down, manipulating, false teachings, exaggerating, complaining, lying. Before you speak, ask yourself, is what I'm saying true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? An untamed tongue is like fire. It causes irreparable damage. It takes a forest hundreds of years to become the forest that it is. But one spark can change the whole forest, and it causes irreparable damage. That forest will never be the same. It will never look like it did before that fire. Our words can do the same. What we speak, just a few words, can destroy a relationship that took years to build in seconds. And we speak thinking that we can apologize later for it. But once we speak it, it's out there and the damage is done. And that's why it's so important to stop and think before we speak. Growing up, my mom was told by her teachers and school administration that because of her dyslexia, that she would never be able to work in regular classes or go to college and graduate. My mom believed them, and because of that, she never chased her dreams. She never went to college. She went through the rest of school, barely getting by, just enough to graduate. Had the people in her life motivated her, encouraged her, and helped her, yes, my mom does have dyslexia, and yes, it might be more severe than others, but instead of them encouraging her and being helpful and pouring more into her to help her succeed and believe that things are possible, they chose to tell her that she couldn't complete or do, that it was impossible for my mom to do these things as other people do. And you can still see the effects of those words in her life today. The thing is, if you're allowing your speech to be motivated by anything other than God's love and wisdom, you are opening the door to enviness, bitterness, selfishness, unspiritual thoughts, rudeness, and lack of compassion. There is no room for that in God's house. And there's no room for that in a follower and believer of Jesus' life and ministry's heart. Someone new to the faith will be of new mind. They'll be open to exploring new ideas and a new way of life. New believers or not yet believers rely heavily on your example and your word. If you are not speaking truthfully and kindly, you are essentially sharing to new believers or not yet believers that the God that you serve is untruthful and unkind. That is not the God that I know, and that's not the God that I serve. So that's not the God that I want to share with others. God is not asking me to serve his people dishonestly and not in love. He gives us instruction and wisdom through his teachings that are out of love to share that with others. If I'm teaching them anything other than that, you can be very knowledgeable in the life and ministry of Jesus and the life and ministry of God, and still be firm and stern in his beliefs and teachings, but there has to be a huge level of compassion and love when it comes to sharing those things and honesty so that people feel the love that people see the love through you, through your voice. You can be very educated, the top CEO of the company, Miss America, the President of the United States, but if you are unable to speak to others with love in your heart and compassion and accurately, your title means nothing. A bad boss or a bad teacher to me, a teacher to me that was unkind and rude or dishonest, I'm always going to remember that teacher as that. I'm not going to remember that they were the #1 math teacher in the world. Honestly, if that's the experience that I had, I'm not listening. I'm checked out. I don't want to be in a room for an hour sitting with somebody that's dishonest. So it's the same way. If you are a person in a position of your church, if you are the CEO of your company, if you are the pastor, if you are anything, if a new believer comes in that's open to experiencing and of new knowledge and accepting God and looking to know what God is, if you are dishonest and rude and mean and unkind and unable to share the love that Jesus has because you can't tame your tongue and your desire to share how you feel, whether it be right or wrong, in an unkind way, those people aren't getting the message. Those people don't see Jesus through you. Those people don't experience Jesus' love and grace that he gives to you through you. So I want you to think about this week the words that you speak. And before you speak them, I want you to ask yourself, is this fact? Is it true? The words that I'm about to say, are they textbook true? Is it necessary? Is it helpful? Do I have to say this? Is it kind? Does this show the kindness and the grace that God shows me? And does it show Jesus? Am I sharing God's love with the words that I speak? If it's not all of these things, it's probably not worth saying. And if these harsh thoughts and words come up in your head, in your heart, it is something that you need to sit with yourself and ask God to work on these areas in your life. What's of the heart will come out. And if others aren't seeing Jesus, then you aren't bringing them to him. And that's what we are commissioned with, to bring others to him. And we are employed and empowered to speak his name, to speak of his love. And we cannot do that. There is no room for that if it's anything but truthful and kind. I didn't really want today to be so blunt and harsh, but sometimes we need that. I know that I need that. I appreciate the book of James because he is so blunt, but I still experience God's love through his words. And that's what God does. He uses those people, he empowers them, and because they are clinged to his word and his wisdom, they are able to effectively communicate and share God's love and teachings to us so that we can learn something from them and do that for others. So I'm really glad that you turned in this week, and I hope that you tune in next week. As always, we would love to see you in person. We have Wednesday night services and Sunday services. We'd love to see you there, and if not, like always, we'll see you here next week. Thanks.